So, nobody wanted to close up the church that night, especially not after what happened the week before. Welcome to this explainer, where we're gonna unpack a mystery that actually begins in the darkest hours of the night, the keyboard that played itself. Just picture this, all right? It's well past midnight, the church sanctuary is entirely empty. Yet, these stories have been circulating among the older members of the congregation. They were whispering about a sound that would just sometimes echo from that pitch-black room.
Now our focus today is on a young guy named Chris. Chris had heard all of these rumors, but he was a really practical guy. He'd reason with himself saying, look, old buildings just make noises. But the older members, they were incredibly specific. This sound they were hearing, it was absolutely not the wind howling through the rafters.
And it definitely wasn't the building settling on its ancient foundations either. It was something else entirely. Still, Chris didn't truly buy it, not really. Well, that is, until a particular Friday. Deacon Ephraim, he's one of the older elders of the church, he hands Chris this heavy ring of keys to lock up the building. But the deacon didn't just casually hand him the keys. He looked right at Chris, his eyes all tight and dead serious, and gave him this very specific warning. Lock up and don't linger.
I mean, that kind of warning would make anyone's stomach tighten, right? He knew he should have just left right then and there. But instead, this powerful curiosity, or I don't know, maybe something even stronger than curiosity, just kind of pulled him toward the sanctuary one last time. The main lights were totally off. The only thing you could see was this faint, eerie glow spilling in from a street lamp outside. And right there, sitting exactly where it always sat, was the old keyboard. It was this dusty, completely untouched relic that literally nobody used anymore since a newer model had arrived.
Chris is just standing there in the quiet, and then he heard it. A single note. Low. Very deliberate. It was coming directly from that exact keyboard that nobody had touched in months. Chris absolutely froze in his tracks. His hand instinctively shoots out, feeling along the wall for the light switch, but before his fingers could even flip it, another note followed, and then another. This wasn't some random accidental noise, it was a deliberate progression. It sounded almost like a hymn, trying to remember itself in the dark. His heart is just absolutely hammering in his chest at this point. His feet are practically moving across the sanctuary floor before his brain can even process what's happening. He reaches the instrument, grabs the heavy dust cover, and yanks it off. And there it was. Suddenly, the silence in that room felt infinitely louder than the music had been, because when he looked down, the cable was unplugged. It was coiled up neatly on the floor, exactly the way it had been left months ago. There was zero power source. There was literally no earthly explanation for what he had just heard.
Every single instinct in Chris's body is screaming at him to run, and he almost did. But that urge to just bolt out the door was suddenly stopped dead in its tracks by a memory. He remembered this piece of passing advice from Elder Josiah, one of his old mentors at the church. The elder had told him once, "Some instruments carry more history than the man playing them realizes. Ask the ones who were here before you." And it was that singular memory that essentially anchored Chris to the floor. It completely transformed his sheer terror into this desperate, burning need to seek answers.
Which brings us to section 1, Mama Adaeze's testimony. So the very next morning, Chris kept his mouth shut. He didn't tell a single soul at the church about what happened. Instead, he went straight to the ultimate authority on the church's history, Mama Adaeze. She was 91 years old, right? And had been a part of this fellowship since before the building even had a roof. Honestly, if anyone knew the history of that sanctuary, it was her. And when Chris described this unplugged keyboard playing itself, she didn't seem surprised in the slightest.
She actually sat him down and slowly began to unravel the whole mystery. That old keyboard, she explained, well, it used to belong to a young guy named Emeka. Emeka was, without a doubt, the absolute best minstrel the church had ever raised. And Mama Adaeze's description of him is just so striking. She said he played like his hands had been trained in heaven itself. He possessed this extraordinary, undeniable, genuinely divine gift for music. But despite having those hands trained in heaven, something shifted in him. Pride just kind of crept into his heart. The entire focus of his music changed completely. As Mama Adaeze pointed out, he stopped playing for the altar and he started playing for the applause. He took this incredibly sacred gift and just began using it to elevate himself, to basically soak in all the admiration from the congregation. And unfortunately, that unchecked ego led to a very sudden, deeply tragic end. Mama Adaeze recounted how one night, right there in the sanctuary, standing in the exact spot where Chris had been standing the night before, Emeka collapsed at that very same keyboard. Literally, mid-song, he fell to the floor and he never woke up again. The gravity of that moment permanently marked the sanctuary. So, hearing all this, Chris is naturally terrified all over again. He's feeling the hair standing up on his arms, and he asks if the sound he heard was Emeka's ghost just haunting the church. But Mama Adaeze cuts him off right there, very firmly. It is not him, she insisted. She made it crystal clear that this was not some spooky late-night ghost story. It was a profound spiritual reminder. As she so powerfully put it, God does not waste a testimony.
So what does this all mean? The absolute crucial point here is understanding exactly what this testimony is actually meant to convey. Mama Adaeze explained the true purpose behind those lingering notes in the dark. Every young minstrel, every single musician who steps into that sanctuary to play needs to hear at least once what happens when the gift starts serving the man instead of the giver. That unplugged keyboard wasn't playing to frighten anyone. It was playing as a permanent supernatural warning. A warning about the real dangers of pride and the true purpose behind a divine gift.
Armed with this incredibly heavy, grounded wisdom, Chris made a choice. He actually went back to the church that exact same evening. Again, didn't tell a soul. He walked right into the dark sanctuary and sat directly in front of the old keyboard. It was still plugged into absolutely nothing. But this time, something fundamental had shifted inside of Chris. For the very first time, he wasn't afraid of the silence in that room. That eerie, chilling atmosphere from the previous night was just entirely gone.
Sitting there in the dark, just looking at this instrument that held so much history and heartache, Chris finally spoke up. He spoke out loud, to no one in particular, but also kind of to everyone. He made a vow that perfectly captures the lesson he had just learned. He said, "I don't want to play for applause. I want to play for you." The room stayed completely silent. But this time, the silence didn't feel empty or frightening in any way. It felt like it was intensely, purposefully listening, leaving us all with this one lingering question. When the performance ends and the crowds go home, when the room goes silent, who are you playing for?